Having difficulty staying awake there? Trying to study for some big exam? Finish some last minute assignment that you've put off all weekend? And it's now 3 in the morning, and you're absolutely exhausted. Or perhaps you were in a similar state recently, and are looking for help on what to do. Well, friend, I have just the prescription to ease your weary mind. All you need to do is win a game. Setting up the game is relatively simple. All you need is an hourglass, a candle, and a marker. Let me make one thing suspiciously clear. You need an hourglass, not one of those rinky-dink 30-second pieces of shit that you get out of a cereal box or a board game. Before playing the game, test the hourglass to make sure it takes an hour or slightly longer to drain out all the sand from one section to the other. Having it take slightly longer to help, but too long or too short and you'll run out of complications during the game. You must be entirely alone in the room while playing. When you are ready to play, choose any from ones that can be sealed, simply meaning that the doorways and windows can be closed. Any other form of timekeeping device or alarm must be taken out of the room or prior, or the game will not begin. The hourglass will be your only time tracking tool, hence why you're having an accurate hourglass is important. Anything with electronic display sound should be removed. This includes TVs, cell phones, computer monitors, anything. Leaving them out of the room for during the game will put you in a massive disadvantage. You may begin the game at 8 p.m. Make sure the room is sealed, drawing the curtains to block any outside light. Then draw a simplistic hourglass shape on the back of one of your hands. Make sure to remember well which hand it was, since you'll most likely be in the dark of this game. Take a candle and light it, then turn off the lights, and sit down on the floor with the previously mentioned objects close together, and flip the hourglass to sand begins to fall into an empty half. The only source of light should be your candle. Now you yell something along the lines of, "I am not tired, and I refuse to go to sleep." Close your eyes and count to 10, and open them again. You won't be entirely sure, but somewhere in the room you'll think to see when you shadowy outline of a man. You have now begun the game, and your opponent is none other than the master of keep him sleep himself, the Sandman. Do not provoke him, and do not speak of him either. You've challenged him, in a way insulted him without his profession, so he is not the best mods to say the least. Now comes the game. Your task is to stay awake for as long as possible, to a maximum of 8 hours, which will take you to 4 a.m. Every hour, you must flip the hourglass and reset it to keep the game going. Each time you flip the hourglass, you may take the marker and draw out a tally mark on your arm. The specifics of which arm you mark it will be explained later. Don't think you can just flip the hourglass 8 times really quickly, or just draw 8 lines on your arm. The hour needs to pass in order for the magic to work. If you fail to flip the hourglass before the beginning of the very last grain of sand falls, you should succumb to sleep before you will lose. During this game, the Sandman will be deploying as many tricks as possible to get you to fall asleep or give in. See, the bottom half of your hourglass at any time represents his power. The more sand in it, the stronger his influence will be. Almost immediately upon starting, you'll begin to feel drowsy. This is merely his presence if you can't just last against this. Stop playing immediately. During the first hour, he won't do a lot. He may walk around the room, but he won't touch you or speak to you, even if you try to talk to the beginning, which is something you should really avoid doing. There will be no response. Also, don't move from your spot to approach him. The closer you get, the more drowsy you'll become. And if you are not here near your candle, he may put it out so you can go to sleep. Do not distract yourself during this time. You may easily lose track of time and forget to flip the hourglass on time. The Sandman can also skew your perception of how much time has passed, but he cannot infect the hourglass, so keeping your focus on that is your best chance of winning. Side note, if you try to leave the room, You will find that the doors are locked, and the windows reveal nothing but unyielding darkness for as far as you can see. After you pass the first hour, the Sandman may scoff, but will continue to stay in the room. Now he will begin to pull more from this bag of tricks. That he's seen you are just going to be hard one to put down. The sounds of music boxes, perhaps harps, may be heard, at first from a distance, but will slowly grow into a level that could easily be audible and comforting. Resist the urge to close your eyes and listen. Your body will grow weary as you approach an hour or two or three, depending on how the Sandman is feeling that night. Around this point, he will begin speaking to you in many voices. The soft voice of a young girl, the wise cackling laugh of a grandparent, or perhaps even the ever-loving, recognizable words of your own mother. They will try to congratulate you on surviving for as long as with the Sandman, for breathing sleepless days and nights to win this game. Whispers of lullabies and nursery rhymes will fill your head, but you know better. Say nothing and ignore the voices. No matter how rude they may seem, don't listen to them. Do not go to sleep. If you manage to make it through halfway point and now have 4 marks on your arm, you'll be nothing less than exhausted, and the Sandman will be nothing less than enraged. He will begin to manipulate your environment even more, and start using new tactics to get you to fall asleep. Instead of trying to lure out of your sleep, he will attack you. Hallucinations will occur, and you'll see the horrifying images of dead hanging from the ceiling, flashed by a spotlight of an unknown origin. The room may start to close in, and then stretch out, and then close again, and stretch back out. A whisper in your ear will turn shouting in your face into an invisible source. Already weakened and sleep-deprived, your remaining energy will be drained in bursts from these terrors. You may have sudden adrenaline rushes, sure, but the Sandman is clever. He'll tell you that you just can't survive into the next hour by simply being anxious. He'll wait until your emotional state has fallen just another lower than bam. 2 rotted feet dangling in front of your face. You can scream all you want. You can beg for him to stop. But this will only use up more of your ability to function. At the 6-hour mark, the hallucinations will shift between horror and comfort, while the Sandman will begin to pick your brain and find out what nightmares cause you to come in a cold sweat many a night. Others will coax you towards slumber, claiming that you've put up enough and you deserve rest. A warm bed to tuck yourself into, a pillow made from the softest furs and feathers, and the harps of the music boxes will start to overload your sense of hearing. In your state, you may welcome the chance to sleep, but you'll snap out of it. Have you been watching the hourglass? Make sure that his terrors aren't distracting you. This is why you don't talk to the Sandman. For every tiny detail about yourself you give him, he will use it against you here. This is also the part where the electronic displays can become a massive problem. They will turn on regardless of whether they are powered or not, and you should gaze upon mystifying image for so long. Your eyelids will droop, and your body will collapse onto the floor. If you had just turned the screens away, the Sandman might use some muscle and turn it back towards you so you can't get a better view. The curtains may open to a brilliant dawn or a clear blue sky, but only the troops in his room are your arm and your hourglass. Unless you have 8 marks, this game is not over. Many ounce of strength you have to flip that hourglass, now immense chore from the Sandman's influence. Scrawl a little line down your arm with the marker, even if it looks like you're taking a knife and slashing your own arm open. During the final hour, the Sandman will begin to address you directly, asking you questions that appear to be simple. But as you are, you cannot even remember what 2 plus 2 is equals. A question that is the hardest thing to get out of your head, so don't let it get in. Cover your eyes, ears, and just watch the hourglass. Keep those eyes open. Don't fall asleep. If the question gets in your head, you'll start to think about it, adding some more stress and draining you of what little mental will you have left. It might just become hard to breathe, as if something is squeezing your lungs, or the air is dense and hard to take. The Sandman will also get physical, grabbing you and throwing you across the room, leaving you to crawl back to the hourglass before your time is up. If you catch a glimpse of his face, it may be enough of a nightmare to haunt you and keep your eyes from shutting. There will be no distinguishable facial features, save 2 bloody eyes, and the lids tore from the sockets, endlessly staring. If you can't take it anymore at any point before the 8th hour is completed, take the hourglass and break it with all your might. Both sections must be broken for the game to end. For your sake, I hope it was made of glass. Anyone who's made it with the 7th hour mark has never had the strength to successfully break it, and neither carried on or surrendered to their dreams. You will not receive a reward for the ending of the game. This way, save the mercy of avoiding Sandman's wrath. If you do make it to the end of the 8th hour without falling asleep, you will not need to flip the hourglasses again. Simply make the 8th mark on your arm and close your eyes. Although you ended the game, you cannot sleep just yet. There is one final task remaining. All you must do is wait for the Sandman to collect the hourglass and say, "You're all grown up now. Sleep when you wish." Open your eyes and find the hourglass is gone and the candle put out, but you may collapse in its slumber. A 12-hour slumber, to be precise. The game puts heavy strain in your mind and body, so recovery is necessary. But if it's the last sleep you'll ever need, or at least at length, because once you've fully recovered, you will be able to stay awake for an extra hour each tally on your marked arm, depending on your normal sleep schedule. This may mean you only need a small nap, maybe an hour or 2 at most, but for some you'll never get to lie down again. Sure, you'll have the ability to do so if you want to, but you even can still dream. But will never be any weariness following you. Just think of how productive you can be. It's not all the sugar plums and gumdrops. If you mark any tallies on the arm that was not marked by the hourglass, you will instead require more sleep. 1 hour for each tally on the blank arm, to be precise. You will require more rest and be able to function throughout the day. Now these marks can cancel the ones on your arm, but if that's not the case, you may have gone through all that suffering, only to come out worse than before. And what under your delirious state throughout the game, it's unlikely for the average individual to come out with all of their tallies on the marked arm. There is also circumstances of losing. If you fail to flip the hourglass, then the Sandman will gain full power, and with a snap of his fingers, you will collapse onto the ground, regardless of how you fall asleep. Be it by failure of the hourglass or succumbing to your own tiredness, you will also sleep for 12 hours to recover, but it will still be the worst sleep you'll ever have, and the Sandman will make damn sure that that's the case. The worst nightmares will flood your mind, leaving you unable to escape or wake up in relief-filled cold sweat, and all you can do is endure the torture of the dream, what that feels like years in length. And when you finally come out of conscious the next morning, there will you be, lying on the floor of the room, the marks still on your arm, and blood flowing from where your eyelids once rested. You said you refused to close your eyes and go to sleep. The Sandman has simply granted that wish.
What's up, my pretties? It's the Lion Queen here. I want to appreciate you all for tuning into this video, and I do appreciate you guys supporting my video by giving this video likes and stuff. If you really enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, comment and subscribe if you're new, ring the bell for notifications to when I upload so that way you guys will get updated for whenever I upload. If you want to follow me on Twitter or DeviantArt, feel free to leave a follow on those if you are interested in following me on those socials. If you want to support my backup channel, known as Miss Dark Shigo, feel free to subscribe to it, as a link to that will also be in the About page section. And with that being said, and that being the case, thank you so much for watching, my pretties, and as always, please stay pretty.